Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
6 MPs have defected from the newly formed ChangeUK party. Just months after it was formed, it follows the party's disastrous performance at the recent European elections. Well, our deputy political editor, John Pienaar, is in Westminster for us now. So, John, a pretty devastating blow for the new party.
Well, yes, ChangeUK, this small new party made up of centrist pro-European MPs from Labour and the Tories, just got a whole lot smaller, down to 5 MPs, including their new leader, Anna Soubry. The other 6, led by their leader till now, Heidi Allen, the former Tory MP, broke off to go independent after those poor results in the local and European elections. Now, some of them are expected to be considering joining the Liberal Democrats, others much less interested in doing that. But in the end, Ben, it's still more aftershocks of the Brexit crisis being felt at either end of the political landscape.
Meanwhile, John, on the Tory party leadership contest, significant news on the rules.
That's right. The most senior Tory MPs and the leaders of the voluntary party today agreed the ground rules for choosing their next leader and Britain's next Prime Minister. Long list of contenders. It is now 12, and that's after James Cleverly, the Brexit minister, pulled out because he realised he had no chance. But pretty soon, a lot of others are going to realise the same thing. When the voting starts, next week there'll be round after round, eliminating candidates as they go through the process. In the first round, you'll need 5%, that's 16 MPs. Second round, 10%, 32. And in the end, there'll be 2 candidates. And then it'll be up to the mass membership, 120 or so thousands, to choose the Prime Minister. They hope to have that done by the end of July.
John, thank you very much indeed. John Pienaar there, our deputy political editor.
Well, despite the US president being in town, the battle to be the next PM continues. With 2 dropouts, there are still 11 in the race, but for how long? Our political editor, Nick Watt, is here. And we've been hearing tonight about the first hustings, if you like, the One Nation hustings, with 4 of the prime candidates. What happened?
Well, a very important intervention by Boris Johnson. And let us not forget, he spurned the chance to meet Donald Trump to attend this hustings with the One Nation group, who are on the sort of the pro-European side of the party. Now, our colleague Chris Mason, our BBC colleague, he was there. He was in the corridor. And he said that Boris Johnson told the meeting that you have to get Brexit done or you face the danger of the extinction of their great party. He said that Brexit must be delivered by October the 31st, deal or no deal. If you don't do that, there will be an existential crisis. And then he said he's the person who can take on Farage. He's the person who can put Nigel Farage back in his box. And then Chris Mason reported that James Duddridge, who's a leading Brexiteer in the Conservative Party, said that Nick Soames, who has a sort of a love-hate relationship with his fellow Etonian Boris Johnson, had his head in his hands like all his family had died when Boris Johnson made those remarks.
Oh, goodness. The rules are changing. I mean, I just mentioned that 2 of the candidates have pulled out. They're looking for more to do so.
That's right. He's always said of the Conservative Party that their secret weapon was loyalty and their great strength was the ability to acquire and then retain power. They're not doing so well on the loyalty, but they're showing signs of perhaps getting back into how you acquire power, changing the rules, and they're essentially making it much, much more difficult for candidates with low support to actually enter the race. And if you're in the race and you're not doing well, it's going to chuck you out pretty quickly. I was talking to a member of the government there saying, currently, there is a vacuum, and they've got to stop that.
Nick, thanks very much. The plucky band of 11 was meant to change the British political landscape and recognise that politics in this country was broken. Now, ChangeUK is down to 5. They've had to replace a departed leader. Was it a failure to get their messaging right, a reluctance to talk to the parties who could have been allies, a crowded field, or just a badly run idea? We talked to ChangeUK's new leader, Anna Soubry, and Nick Bowles has been writing this evening, Anna, people shouldn't sneer and gloat. We should be inspired by their courage and learn from their mistakes. Let's start with those mistakes.
Can I just say, I mean, obviously we'll answer any question that you ask me, but the assertion that we wouldn't work with other parties is just not true. And if you look actually at what's happened since the referendum, and indeed beforehand, remember, I was a member of the coalition government, served with Joe Swinson, with Vince, with Ed Davey, and so on and so forth.
It looks like you're not You're not looking at the mistakes. I've had a conversation with Caroline Lucas when Chukwuemeka was sitting there, and she said you could have sought an alliance in the European elections. There were alliances to be made without being one form part. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
And she said that had been possible, and you had turned it down.
No, I have to tell you, Caroline has never suggested on behalf of the Greens that there would be an alliance with the Lib Dems and Change UK. Do forgive me, this is really important, because a lot of stuff has been put out, right? And I sat in the meeting with the Lib Dems when there was a conversation that went, if we have the EU elections, because at that stage it was still an if. It's really important,
I'm going to hurry you up here because you have just lost half your members and you haven't got any MEPs. So let's talk about where things went wrong.
Let's get this clear. Let's get the facts straight. Then we can talk about mistakes. And it was never suggested. It was said perhaps we could look at regions. We looked at each other and we went, no, it's not going to happen. And the Greens were never offered any deal.
Well, I was told that Chukwuemeka turned down the chance to work with the Greens or other parties.
That is complete news to me.
Well, I heard it from
No, I'm so sorry. That is not true.
As things stand, you've lost half your members.
More than half.
Right. You're down to 5. You're the new leader. You haven't got any MEPs. So you would admit that mistakes were made along the way.
Oh, I think it was the challenge that people did underestimate. I think that was it. Look, when we formed, it was one of those days, wasn't much news. We were polling at 11% and we weren't even a party.
And then you went up to 18.
Did we?
Yes, you went up to 18, and I've met people who funded you, who got you started, who couldn't bring themselves to vote for you in the European elections.
Then let's look at what happened. So then what happened, unforeseen, as it were, that the Lib Dems got that bounce going into the EU elections. The Libs were always going to get a bounce, and rightly so, in the local elections, because in 2015, in constituencies like mine, where we'd had those council elections, they did really badly.
So it went according to plan. If they were always going to get the bounce, then it went according to plan.
No, because at that stage, nobody knew we were going to have the European elections. They came along, and what were we going to do? Were we not going to stand candidates in the EU elections? Just imagine that commentary. Oh, Change UK, go to change British politics, can't even stand in the elections.
Honestly, I don't know who this is for.
Damned if you do, or damned if you don't.
I don't know who this is for, because you're the one sitting here today having to explain to me why you've lost 6 members and a leader.
Well, if you let me tell you, I will tell you. So what happened was that they decided, on the basis of what had happened in the EU elections, that we should no longer be a party but a movement, and we should not stand candidates.
So they deserted you?
Yes, they decided to leave because they don't believe that we should be a political party that fields candidates.
Do you think they ran away?
In any elections. No, I'm not going to use that language. I think that you have to understand that this is a long-haul game and it's tough. Look, these are people who've shown real courage in leaving their political parties and must be given full credit for that.
But you're not going to get now. It's over, isn't it?
It certainly isn't. 600,000 people almost went out and positively voted for us. We've got 69 excellent candidates, not just
next time they'll say, well, I won't do that again. I'll go to the Lib Dems who are on the rise.
Those voters.
The people who voted for you, who lent you their vote and have seen you.
Those voters had, as you rightly identify, they could have voted Lib Dem, they could have voted Greens. They positively went out and voted for us. Why did they do that? Because they've put their faith in changing British politics. Look, let's be honest about this.
You don't want to change it. Even your name doesn't make sense. You didn't want to change it. Why didn't you call yourself Remain?
Because we are absolutely more than just Remain.
You have to start
and now
with
we
one
are
thing.
going to no. So if we called ourselves Remain, we would then get criticised for just being a one-trick pony. Look, you've just done 2 cracking interviews with 2 first-class politicians. Look at the state, though, of British politics. Alistair Burton, admirable man, having to defend the complete fiasco that is the Conservative Party, and Dawn Butler having to defend Jeremy Corbyn standing up with the revolutionary communists.
There was so much goodwill for you as a new party, wasn't there?
It is still there. Okay. 600,000 people went out and voted for us, and we have got amazing candidates, not just former MPs like Stephen Dorrell, but people new to politics. Real quality. I'm proud of them all.
Do come back, Anna. Thanks very much indeed.